Welcome to the Can Innovate podcast, where we help innovate your career by providing you bi-weekly mini bite-sized tactics to help you drive your professional development in a tune-up style. So prepare to get totally future-proofed. Hey innovators, I've got a really interesting topic to talk to you about. I actually want to talk about overcommitting and underdelivering and talk about how not to do this. I mean, we all know it impacts our reputation, and for some reason we keep doing this, and I don't understand why we keep doing it. So this is actually the first of our new professional development tune-up series. It's a short mini session to really help you elevate your game and to remind you of these small things that you may have forgotten, or because we're so busy, things happen, right? Like, let's be honest, there's no shortage of things happening in our lives. So I just had a really interesting experience, and those that have ever experienced working with a contractor or a technician or a repair person know that we're at their mercy. As soon as we say it, we know, it's going to be an awful and painful experience. And we set ourselves up because we know it's actually going to be that, because it's just historically, they're unreliable. The costing is going to come higher than what you expect. It's just, there's just going to be tons of surprises, right? And they're not necessarily great surprises. So what got me thinking about this is that my dishwasher broke down the other day. And honestly, in a panic, you do what you do, right? I called the appliance repair company, came very next day, charged me a bunch of money. I had to prepay for the next parts. They put in a temporary part. I'm thinking, okay, this might work. Right off the bat, that's when all the issues started happening. The part arrived, and they tried to schedule them to come and, to come back to fix things. It became so challenging. They kept canceling. They kept no-showing. They kept saying the wrong part was there. Honestly, it's been now 6-7 weeks, and it's still not sorted out. It's beyond frustrating. And those that have always used a repair or a technique, we all know what this feels like. We go through what I call 32 flavors of emotion, right? We go from being patient and trying to be understanding to getting irritated to anger. It's just amazing what happens when these contractors continuously overcommit and underdeliver, right? They keep failing to give us and deliver on their promise, and those promises are our white light. Like, yes, I could put up with the pain for a couple more weeks. I could not have a dishwasher. I just need to know where we're at, right? Now, think about this experience that we go through. Sometimes we are the person that underdelivers, and yet we know the pain of doing this. There's a reason why parents always say to her, please don't promise things to my kids that you're unable to deliver. Like, don't give empty promises, empty, deliverables, empty anything. Like, don't say something, and if you're not going to do it, right? That's what the parents always say, because they know there's a massive fallout and disappointment that occurs, and they have to go and pick up the pieces for someone to break that promise, right? They try to make sure that relationship doesn't get, broken or whatever it is, or they try to fix it. It's just a massive fallout, right? Like, it's just hard to recuperate and recover from not delivering on what you promised. Now, here's the interesting part. We all know how it feels, right? It feels awful. We've already talked about it. And yet so many of us at work do this. We do this with our clients. We do this with our coworkers. We do this with our bosses. It's unbelievable. We get into this habit of saying yes at work. We just don't want to disappoint someone. We don't want to be seen as not collaborative or not a team player. So we automatically are kind of programmed to say yes. And then we sit down and go, how on earth am I going to make this timeline? And there's many of us that really try hard to make that timeline, and we just can't do it because we knew it was such a huge stretch goal to begin with. And some of us may get stressed out trying to make that timeline because we're trying our real best. And some will just continue working at their own pace, at their own timeline, and deliver when they deliver it, and that's what it is. And the funny part is, we can actually mitigate this. We know what it feels like to be let down. So we don't like when it happens to us. But when we do it, we've got all the excuses and reasons in the world as to why we did it. But the funny part is that we know regardless of what happens, trust gets broken because we didn't actually manage expectations. We did not communicate. We just didn't bother thinking that through. We really are trying to get it done. But we know that when this happens, or when a coworker did it to us, or our boss did it to us, and the trust is broken, we stop trusting them, and they get seen as unreliable. The perception, they always take their timelines and their commitments with a grain of salt. Those people, right? Like, we all have experienced them. I'm just saying, don't be that person. So I have got a bunch of techniques I've used to actually mitigate the risk. And this is some of the stuff I teach quite a bit, is that there are ways to mitigate this and to manage it. Now, step one is really, you got to scope it out. Like, if I can't give a quick yes or no, I actually stop and go, wait, how big is the size of the ask? So I actually will say, you know what, can I get back to you on the timelines? I just want to scope it out to make sure I understand exactly what it is that you need and when you need it. This is such a huge thing to be able to say. And what it shows is a level of maturity and professional maturity. Because if what you're saying to the other person is, you know what, your request is important. Let me take a look, do some due diligence, do my homework, come up with a plan. I'll come back to you with a plan and talk about what it looks like so we can actually see whether or not it's actually really truly feasible with the requirements that we have, or better yet, we might be able to find a quick win. Or the best outcome is that when you come up with a little bit of a plan of saying, these are the 10 things I need to do to make it happen. They may say, actually, no, I was just hoping for item number 3. See, you are aligning on expectations, what the vision is, what the timelines are. You are really, truly managing that up front and having a great conversation. But many of us don't do that. So learn this line. Let me get back to you on the timelines. I just want to scope this out a little bit more. And when you're also scoping it out, you're not just looking at it as the individual task. You're looking at it from all the different things that are on your plate to see what's feasible. Because when you say yes to something, you might need to say no or change the timeline on something else, right? We don't come with an endless bucket of hours and energy and time, as much as I like to think I have that, but we're not. We're not all superheroes that can be plugged in 24 hours a day and being able to move in that pace. But we tend not to do this. We don't actually take the time to say, hey, you know what, let me look into this and get back to you. I just want to really scope out what it is that we're looking for, what is the best approach we could take, and then what's also going on that we could leverage. Take the time to say it. Honestly, you'll strengthen your relationship and foster a bigger, stronger foundation for building that trust. Now, the second thing is about managing expectations. Now, this is kind of really hard for a lot of us. So if you don't know, for example, the expected turnaround time, and you've come up with a plan, and you're going to talk about things, and then you've aligned on what's feasible, what's not feasible during that timeline. And what you ask is, what exactly do you need? Like, what exactly do you need first? What you're trying to find out is what is their minimal acceptable product or deliverable that they need, which in the industry, in the product world, they call it MVP. But what you're finding out is what do they need right away in terms of priority in order to give it to their boss or to the other clients or to whatever it is. Like, what is the quick win that they need? And you'll be surprised to find out that they may not need everything. They may just need a few things, and we just made it a lot more bigger because we tend to have this ability to want to over-perfect something, but when they don't need the perfection. My old boss, Wade, used to always say to me, you know what, I only need you to give me 70% of your effort because honestly, 70% is enough. And I was so shocked every time he used to say that to me. And I'm like, but I want to be able to do this. And if I was going to do it this way, then he'd be like, yeah, but I only need this. I know that you want to do all that. You could build that out later, but just all I need is this piece. And that's brilliant, because then I was like, okay, let me just get him that, and then I can work on the other stuff. And usually when I got to that 70% marker, I realized, you know what, since he doesn't really need it, it's not going to add that much more value for me to add, more 30% of extra effort. Honestly, 70% is enough for a lot of people, right? We tend to make it because we want to make them proud. We want to show and illustrate. And then the bigger part is that we sometimes forget, after understanding what the minimum acceptable deliverable is and the product is and the timeline is, we forget to ask this question. What is the latest I can get this back to you by? We all are in a very reactive world. So we're always thinking that they needed it yesterday. They need it yesterday. But sometimes they actually don't need it yesterday. I know, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes you'll find that you'll be thinking that they need by the end of the week, and it's already Wednesday, and they'll be actually thinking, no, I really need a good draft by the end of the month. And it's only because you ask that question, when is the latest that I can get this back to you? It's huge. It really is huge, because your timelines and their timelines are very, very different, because what they're going to use, whatever deliverable, whatever product it is, might be for multiple reasons and a different reason than what you think. Ask questions. Communicate. This is a big tip. Look, people are not mind readers, and this is what always drives me nuts about driving. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves out there is those people that drive that don't signal and they just change lanes. I'm always like, oh my goodness, seriously, dude, how much effort does it take to actually signal and just tell people that you're changing lanes? It doesn't take much. So when I always say is that, when someone sends me an email or a message or whatever it is, I tend to like to send and going, hey, I got the request. I'm just looking into it. Stay tuned. I'm going to say people just want to know that they've been heard, right? Step one, they just want to know that the message did not go into a black hole, that someone got it, you've acknowledged it, you've put it on the list, you're going to get back to them. That is great. It really goes, okay, yes, all right. I can, next time I see them, I can follow up with them. And then, honestly, actually, when you get it, you go, hey, you know what? I'm just looking to the request. I'm setting up some time. I've got a couple of questions. I want to just kind of clarify a few things, and then you go and talk to them. And then once you guys come up with a timeline and what it looks like and what the minimum product is and where you're going, keep communicating with them throughout. Just give them quick updates. It doesn't have to be a story. A one-sentence line and going, hey, it looks like we're on track for the end of the week. I'm going to set something up to show you a quick draft. I can send you the draft beforehand. Let me know your approach. Keep communicating with them throughout the journey, not just at the beginning, not just at the end, right? Keep talking to them. That way they know it's happening. This one is my favorite technique. Now, there are times where things are just not feasible. I can't do it. And it's because I've got a couple of clients on the go. I've got too many projects, the timelines. There's just a lot of reasons as to why I can't do it. But I like to be upfront. I'm a girl that likes options. So I always tend to provide 2 or 3 options. So if I'm about to say no to something, I say no, but however, here are a couple of options that can get you there. I don't want to be seen as the person that just says no and throws it over the fence and says it's your problem. No. That is so not the way to build a relationship or manage a relationship. It is a way to go, you know what? I really don't care. It's your problem and it's so not mine anymore. And that is so not what people want. People are looking for someone to kind of help them with something. It's already hard enough to say, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? But then to find out, that no one cares or the person doesn't care, and how we say no to something really gives an impression. So this is what I tend to do, is I actually give options. So, for example, I say I can do a certain piece of work. I would actually give them a couple of options and say, hey, you know what, look, just because I can't do it because I don't have the bandwidth right now, here are a couple of options. I know Sally in this other division is doing something a little similar, so you might be able to leverage some of their work. I just don't know their timelines, but it might be somebody that you might want to reach out to, because you might be able to get something from there. So you don't have to start from, right off ground zero. You might be able to start at, second point, so you can build on that. Or I could say option 2 would be that, you know what, and I can actually do something for you in the beginning of December, just not now, right? Like if you can wait a couple of weeks, I can actually start to help you in the beginning of December. And then maybe my third option might be like, you know what, I don't have time, but what I could do is I could coach one of your team members to do it, and I can oversee some of the work. And we can use it as an approach to being a bit of a knowledge transfer and on-the-job coaching. So you give them a couple of options. And again, you're not extending yourself. You're being very clear about what you can and cannot do, and you're giving them different parameters for them to think about. This is huge. Right? Like imagine going to the doctor and finding out you've got a cold, whatever. And can you imagine the doctor said, oh yeah, there's no options. Yeah, the antibiotic is on back order and it's not going to be around for like 6 months, and that's the only other option. I would suck, right? Like, so don't be that person that gives no options, right? Like, don't let them feel like it's a dead end and there's no hope and it's a loss, right? You need to give them a light at the end of the tunnel. There is options. You're not alone. Like, people will respect you for your honesty and their ability to think things through. It really shows a level of maturity. So I hope all these techniques help, and I hope this kind of really helps you kind of remember the value of don't overcommit and underdeliver. It's really important not to. Commit to what you can really truly do and deliver it exceptionally. People will come back because they'll remember that experience with you. So I've actually got a little bit of a freebie for you. Every time I do a project or something, I actually take a couple of minutes with a cup of coffee and I actually do an after action review or a reflections review. And I do this literally every time I do something with a client or a milestone or a deliverable. I know certain things I could have done better. And I know there's things that really worked well and I don't want to forget. Because next time I do something similar, I definitely want to incorporate. Because I want to keep building my brand and reputation out there and being seen as a person that can get stuff done, that really provides quality, that takes the due diligence and makes you feel like everything is fixable and solvable. Well, I always say that, but I have no idea how to fix health. But besides that, so I've created a free cheat sheet for you that you can easily download and try. So you just got to click in the show notes or the blog, and you can see that there's a thing called Reflections After Action Review. Take it, download it, PDF, and then use it. It literally takes 10 minutes to do something with you can do it over a cup of coffee or an orange juice or listen to a song, and just think about what worked and what didn't work, but what else could we be doing and what should we stop doing and so on. And, just take the 2 minutes to really think about it. Anyways, I hope you like our very first tune-up of professional development, and I really hope to hear some of your feedback, and I would love to hear if you've actually changed a relationship by using these methods. So anyways, I will talk to you guys soon, and I can't wait to hear from you. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining and listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please share with your friends and colleagues. You can share on social media, the email link, the newsletter, and so on. Let's continue to support these Canadian innovators and help them really grow into bigger brands. Awareness and knowledge is totally key. Anyways, I can't wait to talk to you next week. Cheers.